Grayson Allen, his teammate Donovan Mitchell on hand, looking at the crew. Mitchell had to like what he sees from Allen. Look at Allen. Look at Allen. Oh, shields the defender. Hey, we got some dookies. Sage, the dookies are in the audience with the jerseys.
That's impressive, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hush. Okay, Grayson plays some defense. Watch, that's what they do. That's what they teach you to do. Move your feet. Okay, and then he gets the rebound. And he brings it down court. And watch that pass. And the foul. Nice bounce pass to Stanton Kidd, who gets the bucket. Nice vision with the opposite hand for Grayson Allen. Yeah, off-ball movement. Kids, pay attention. Move without the ball, and you get rewarded. That's what happens. Backdoor, throwing it down, change of direction, the finish. Grayson Allen, 13 points. Heater up. Almost over.
We've got breaking news on SportsCenter.
LeBron is a Laker.
It gets you hyped and excited about the possibilities.
A seismic shift. He's a force of nature.
You got to give kudos to Magic Johnson.
He's not done trying to win.
That shared vision is what brought LeBron James to Los Angeles.
This is what the Lakers do.
Oh boy, the league has officially changed. Doris Burke joins me now from the Las Vegas Summer League. And Doris, we continue to wait on Kawhi Leonard, but those Lakers do have the assets to pair him alongside LeBron. I mean, how aggressive do you think Lakers brass should be in this situation?
Well, Sage, to your point about those assets, to get an elite two-way player in Kawhi, even though we don't know where he is physically, the reality is you're going to have to give up something, and something valuable. But the one piece I would refuse to give up is Brandon Ingram. He has the kind of size, length, and skill on the perimeter that is so coveted in this league. He has worked incredibly hard to become a more efficient three-point shooter. He is now confident enough in his handle to go left and right and attack the cup. And the reality is the more his body fills out, the more repetition he gets, he is going to be a big-time problem as a scorer in this league. He's tapping potential that, to me, still has a very high ceiling. No way I give up Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, you are definitive about that. Don't even ask about Brandon. Okay, on another topic, Doris, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, the Thunder granted Carmelo Anthony permission to meet with prospective teams. That includes Houston and Miami. I mean, we keep hearing about Houston. How do you see him fitting in with their current roster there?
Well, there is an immediate comfortability with his good friend Chris Paul. And I know that Chris, through the 1 year in Houston, has earned equity both with the front office and with Mike D'Antoni. But the one thing I wonder about is what are the conversations centering on? Because last year, Carmelo Anthony told me when he went to Oklahoma City, his expectation going in was that they would all average 30. I don't see that happening. What I'm curious about is can they access Carmelo Anthony's post game, his mid-range game into that offense, or is he going to be a spot-up shooter? And the content of those conversations fascinate me. I hope it comes out eventually, Sage.
Yeah, me too. Hurry up, guys. Okay, tonight, on the call there in Vegas, 2 games, Kings, Grizzlies. Let's focus on the second one, Lakers and Knicks. What are you keeping your eye on for that one?
Well, I'm a Knicks fan. I can be unbiased in the summer. I love Kevin Knox. I love his skill set. I love his game. I love his demeanor. I had a chance to talk to him on the way out of the arena yesterday. New York is a difficult place to play, and this guy has the countenance and comportment to handle that scrutiny. But again, length and athleticism, ability to stretch you in transition. He's a big-time scorer, and I love the idea of him at the 4 and Kristaps Porzingis at the 5. So Mr. Knox is a delightful kid, and he's a delightful talent, and he gives hope to the Knicks. On the other side, listen, Mo Wagner is tremendous. I have been so impressed here with this kid's demeanor, Sage. He is 6'10", he can shoot the ball, he can put it on the deck. But the thing that's really surprised me is the edge that this young man plays with. Super skilled, but you better be a little bit mean and have a little bit of toughness, and Mr. Wagner has all of that.
So completely unbiased Doris Burke today. That Knicks fandom may or may not come through. We're allowed to do this in Summer League. Doris Burke with Mark Jones on the call tonight. Both games live on ESPN2. Thank you, Doris. Enjoy.
Our Adrian Wojnarowski reporting Carmelo Anthony has permission from Oklahoma City to speak with other teams. Anthony and his reps reportedly met with the Rockets and the Heat recently at Summer League in Vegas. Melo will waive his no-trade clause to facilitate a trade to a team that will release him, or the Thunder will exercise the NBA's waive and stretch provision on Anthony. Brian Windhorst joining me now. Brian, we just heard that update from Woj, but take us through why the OKC Carmelo separation plan could be more complicated than meets the eye.
Yeah, so what you're getting here is both sides are giving each other something. Melo is now freed up to talk to other teams to arrange a place for him to land. And Melo, who has a no-trade clause, is allowing the Thunder to go find a place to trade for him. Here's the issue, though. At the end of the day, today, Melo is a toxic asset. And in order for you to trade him, you're going to either have to attach some goodies, draft picks or cash, which the Thunder don't want to do, or you're going to have to take back your own toxic asset or assets in return. So before you run to the trade machine and figure out how your team can trade for Carmelo Anthony, realize that the only way this trade would go through is if it's to one of Melo's preferred teams, or if that team instantly will release Carmelo Anthony. And that's a big thing to swallow because he's got a $28 million guaranteed salary for this season.
Hey, things seem to be really, really quiet surrounding the Spurs and Kawhi Leonard. What lies ahead next in this process as it plays out?
Yeah, so the next important thing is 2 weeks from tomorrow, Jay, and that is the Team USA training camp. There's a get-together in Las Vegas at the end of this month. The brand new head coach of Team USA, Greg Popovich, on the roster and expected to be there for training camp, or at least to meet with his new teammates, Kawhi Leonard. Now, in the past, we have seen players who are in stalemates with their teams be excused. Most recently, Kevin Love in 2014, when he had demanded a trade, he was excused. That said, this is an opportunity, if they could somehow get in the same room together, of Greg Popovich and Kawhi Leonard working together, possibly finding some way to move forward. At the end of the day, the Spurs are going to want to exhaust all options before they trade Kawhi Leonard. They have not exhausted all options yet. And even if this ultimately doesn't mean a connection and Kawhi begs off and doesn't come to Las Vegas, it's something that the Spurs are looking to see if they can create something to build on.
Okay, one more for you while I have you here. Sources tell ESPN the Rockets' initial offer to restricted free agent Clint Capella was in the 4 years, $60 million range. But he's looking for a $100 million contract, similar to the deal that Thunder big man Steven Adams received. What are the chances that the Rockets and Capella can close that gap a bit?
The problem here is both sides are being reasonable. Clint Capella is worth that $100 million deal that Steven Adams got a couple of years ago. But the Rockets look out there and see there's nobody left who can make him that offer. And the offer is, your market is what you can get out there on the open market, and he can't get that offer. And so the Rockets are playing hardball. It's hard to be a restricted free agent. It's really hard to be a restricted free agent in 2018 when there's not space out there. Capella really has two options here. He can take his qualifying offer, which would mean he would leave $15+ million on the table this year that he could earn, and then become an unrestricted free agent in a year. Or he could just hold out, waiting for the Rockets to come up with a higher offer. Maybe that's August, maybe it's October, maybe it's later. We've seen both weapons used. Neither one of them are good for this relationship, so hopefully there's a middle ground. But right now there's a lot of acrimony there.
All right, we'll keep watching that. Brian Windhorst, thank you for all that. Appreciate you, brother.
Always buzzing, and the epicenter of the league happens to be a city without a team, Las Vegas. Scorings and signings sandwiched around the Summer League. Let's begin with the Suns locking up Devin Booker to a 5-year, $158 million deal over the weekend. He's 21 years old. He averaged nearly 25 points per game last year. Pair him with Ayton, you got a couple cornerstone pieces. The Suns have missed the playoffs 8 straight years. That might be ending. Booker's out in the West. The Bulls are not going to let Zach LaVine head back west himself. Matching an offer sheet by the Kings to keep him in Chi-Town to the tune of 4 years and $78 million. He said he's ready to, quote, wake up his doubters. Big thing with him, got to stay healthy. Chicago matching to keep LaVine. San Antonio not doing the same for Kyle Anderson. Letting him walk to Memphis. 4 years, $37 million. And this is an upgrade for him. He'll likely be a starter on a Grizzlies team coming off a 22-win campaign. Now the Bucks won double that many last season. They're moving into a new arena, and they got a new big man, Brooke Lopez, 1 year, 3.4, expected to be the starting center. He's become one of the better shooting big guys in the NBA, as evidenced by that triple wearing a Lakers uniform. And you mentioned, Tony, earlier, the names still out there to be had. Arguably none more important than Clint Capella and Marcus Smart. Both were key contributors in leading their teams to the conference finals. It is important to note that not many teams have the cap space to pry them away from their current teams. Let's make a deal, something our front office insider Bobby Marks did for 20 years. He joins us from the Summer League. Bobby, first things first, the Carmelo Anthony chatter, once the extrication from OKC is complete, the Rockets are said to be in the mix. But when you owe a Brinks truck to Chris Paul and James Harden, how do you make that work financially?
Well, I don't think, Zubin, it should be about finances for Carmelo Anthony. He's already made $260 million in his career, and they do have the $5.3 million tax mid-level, or the minimum, which would be $2.4 million. So I think if there is a home for Carmelo in Houston, it would be for that minimum exception, which is at $2.4 million. I think the likelihood is that he gets stretched in Oklahoma City, and that $28 million contract gets stretched over 3 years here. So I don't think it's going to be about finances for Carmelo. It's going to be more about fit here. Okay, if the fit works in Houston, he might be teammates with Clint Capella. And we know Capella was a critical piece, Bobby, of their 65-win team last season, top seed in the West. So what's the hang-up in getting him signed back to Houston? Well, you're right. He is a critical piece, and restricted free agency is the hang-up. And what Houston has basically said to Clint Capella and his representatives, go out and get an offer sheet like Zach LaVine did over the weekend with Sacramento. The hard part is that there are no teams out there with cap spaces that is willing to give Capella an offer sheet. So we could be hitting a little bit of a standstill here. He's got a $4.3 million qualifying offer on the table. If he signs that, he would be an unrestricted free agent. That is something that Houston should not want to happen. I would hope that something gets soon here because, as you mentioned, he is a critical piece. No question. You also mentioned that he's a restricted free agent, just like Marcus Smart. What are the financial ramifications for him in the Celtics right now, Bobby? Well, the Celtics have some huge financial ramifications coming. He has another qualifying offer worth $6 million. But, Zubin, they've got some finances coming up with Kyrie Irving, a free agent next year, Al Horford, a free agent, Terry Rozier, a restricted free agent. And where Smart's range is right now, he's looking for a contract in that $12 to $14 million range. I don't see that Boston will offer him that. But as I said before, there is no market for these restricted free agents to go out and get an offer sheet. Right. Where's the leverage? There are those that think Smart fits best with the Celtics versus anybody else. So there is something there. That's the dollars and cents and the common sense of it all with our Bobby Marks.